Good evening. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to everyone that is watching who's in traffic or just decided to pull up to hear about empowered women vote. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you be a part of our conversation today. Welcome to Empowered Women Vote. And what we ask for you to do is for you to like our broadcast today and share it, because we know that what we have to talk about today is very, very important. And so we want as many women as possible to come on and get in the room and get in the space. So go ahead and tag a friend to be a part of the conversation so you can hear more about the power in women voting and what it means today to be connected to other women that are very much running for office and have a lot of influence in our community. And so we can hear much about what they have to offer. So I am joined today by three powerful women. And so we're so excited to have them lean into our conversation on today on Empower Women Voting. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you all. Go ahead and do what you do best and make sure that you share the information. You share that we're going live today, so people can pull up and be a part of the conversation. Empowered Women Vote today with Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson, Dee Dawkins Haigler, and Miss Gabrielle Rogers. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor and let these wonderful women do what they do best and introduce themselves and let us know exactly what office that they're running for, and the importance of the role of the office that they're running for, as well as what is they're responsible for. We just gonna dive right into it because we are surrounded by empowered women today who gonna get us straight on the importance of voting, and we're gonna lean into their expertise. You all ready to have some great conversation today?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead. Let's start with you first, Lorraine. Please tell us what office you currently are running for and the importance of that role.
I am currently seeking reelection to Super District 7, DeKalb County, Georgia Board of Commissioners. The importance of the Board of Commissioners, of course, DeKalb County is the only county in the state of Georgia out of the 159 that has a CEO form of government. And of course, underneath that hierarchy, there are 7 commissioners. And according to the ORG Act, we're responsible for the allocation of the 4.3 billion DeKalb County budget, as well as the development of legislation for the county. So those are the stated duties. But beyond that, people are concerned with what matters to them, and that's public safety, potholes, sanitation, of course, roads and drainage, essential services. So I deal with anything that falls under that sphere. And it is important because those are the core functions of DeKalb County government.
Well, thank you so much, Lorraine, for that, for sharing the importance of your role and that you're running for reelection. We can't wait to hear more about how your particular role influences women as well as the engagement of the community. Gabrielle, would you share with everyone? Welcome to our platform. Welcome to Empowered Women Vote. Would you share with everyone the position that you're running for and actually what that role does?
Yes, of course. Well, I'm excited to first be on the panel with some powerhouses, women who have been fighting a good fight for a very long time. But I am Gabrielle Rogers, and I'm running to serve as the next state representative for House District 88. And that includes parts of Stone Mountain, Tucker, Lithonia, and Lynburn. I'm very excited because with this role, it serves on the Gold Dome. And that means with the state legislator, my job is to pass the state budget. In addition to to propose and to pass bills. It is supposed to be 40 days in session, but it is a full-time job. And so I am excited because I am running to revitalize the opportunities here in our district. For the last 20 years, we have been left behind. So I'm running to make sure that we have that change that we need.
Thank you so much, and welcome, Gabrielle. And last but not least, Miss Dee Dawkins Haigler. Hello, welcome to the yes, welcome to the platform. Please let everyone know what office you're running for and the importance of the role, and what are you responsible for.
Thank you for that. And hello, everybody. It's good to be here. I am Dee Dawkins Haigler, and I'm running for Georgia Secretary of State. And so the Secretary of State is a huge office that encompasses 5 divisions. One division, everyone knows about it, not just in Georgia, but across the country and the rest of the world. And that is our election division. And that's because our elections are always in the limelight. It's at the forefront. It is the very crux of why the Republicans have put so many people into this race against Brad Raffensperger to feed into that big lie that there was some type of voter fraud in the state of Georgia. So the Secretary of State's office is the chief election supervisor for the state, as well as 4 other divisions, and they are corporations, which meaning you all probably have incorporated your business through the Secretary of State's office. There's another division, which is professional licensing. So many people, whether you are an engineer or a massage therapist, hairstylist, barber, I mean, we can go through a counselor, therapist, architect, you name it. So many people, even a funeral home director and embalmer, they all have to get their professional licenses through the Secretary of State's office. And then the other office is Security and Exchange, which the state of Georgia likes to make sure that they're protecting the investments of its citizens. And then the final division is that of nonprofits and charities. And so many of you may have a nonprofit and charity, which you've also had to register with the Secretary of State's office. And so my background in political science, public administration, being a nonprofit executive management, and working in corporate America, also being a former state legislator for 9 years, sets me up to be the ideal person to run the Secretary of State's office, because it is more than an administrative position, an executive position that can handle all 5 divisions that fall under its purview. But right now, our main focus, just until now, to the next couple of years, while they're trying to suppress our vote, is that of the elections division.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dee. Awesome. And we look forward to hearing more from you as well. One of the things I get a lot when I see women running for office, many people always ask, what made them decide to run? You know, as women, we wear so many different hats. We're starting to see Black women, especially Black women, show up in these spaces and show up very well in these spaces. What made you as a woman decide to run, and how important is it to have a network when running? We can start with you, Lorraine. We can't hear you.
Well, I've always concerned myself with community. And from that standpoint, I've always been very aware of issues related to our community. And for me, I ran for office because I didn't feel that our community is representative of who we are. In many ways, I don't think we look like the professional, educated, dignified people that we are, our community. Particularly in, representing such large portion of DeKalb. My greatest concern is South and unincorporated DeKalb at this moment, because it lags behind in economic development in particular, and opportunity. So from that's really what motivated me, because I feel that we should have equity. When you're in the 30038 zip code, which is Stonecrest, and I know that Ms. Haigler, Dawkins Haigler, it's hard to say that because I know her as Dee, she's a friend, lives in this area as well. And, we're second only in African-American wealth to Prince George's County, Maryland. But if you're out here, we look nothing at all like Prince George's County, Maryland. So wanting to have a seat at the table to ensure that we move progressively forward, because a lot of people use the term, is what made me decide to run for office. When you say having a team around you, that is so important. And, you know, for people that are running statewide, it's a totally different ballgame. I know the amount of money that I spend on a local level in terms of signage. And I don't think a lot of people truly and fully understand politics. And, you know, when you are elected, you become what I call an elected official. Even though I'm in politics, I'm not a politician. I often say politicians go to jail, elected officials serve terms. But, you know, my biggest care is for someone like, you know, my friend Dawkins Haigler, because on a state level, she needs so many more resources. You know, if I'm on a local level and I'm spending $70,000 and $20,000 on signs, you take that and you multiply that on a state level. And oftentimes, I'm going to say this, in the Black and Brown community, we don't have the ability to adequately compete because the funds don't come in as they should to ensure that our candidates have the proper voice on a statewide level. So your team is everything, but most importantly, community understanding when there's a good candidate and giving them the financial support they need to run a good race, because this is very important.
Well, I'm glad you made mention to that, and that's why it's so important that we share this in this women's platform. The importance of a network, and the importance of support, and the importance of having women as yourself surrounding and supporting one another as they're navigating the space. Gabrielle, would you briefly share with us what made you decide to get in the race just as these other women and run for office?
Yeah, sure. So I start off when I'm the oldest of five. So I always have been the protector, the big sister. And so it was a fight on the playground. They called it big sister to make sure that they're protected. And then my father, before he died in December, one of the things that he wanted to most to make sure we protect our siblings and for those who can't speak up for themselves. And so they translated. I went over to college, majored in journalism, became a reporter. And I realized how important it was for my words to be in print and to tell the stories of the people in our district or in Troy, Alabama, who were suffering as well. And then I went over to corporate America. And I began to be a manager. By trade, I am a marketing communications professional. And so as a manager in corporate America, I was able to have the privilege to give opportunities to our young people, give opportunities for people who needed more pay, people who wanted increased benefits because they couldn't afford their insurance. And so being able to protect the interests of those and then move over to organizations here in my district, I say all that to say we needed a strong leader here. We needed a strong leader who would speak up for the interests of us. A strong leader, didn't matter the zip code, whether it was, like you said, Commissioner 30058 or 30084 here in Tucker. We all needed to share the wealth and the resources there. And I could not do this without my team. I have a full-on girl power team, diverse team of women who are professionals, people who ran for office before, who have really been the backbone of my success, mentors here. And so we'll talk more about that later on. But it's so important to have that because, as you stated, the resources, funding a campaign as a first-time candidate is very important. A lot of times reaching out to family members who may not think or take you seriously as a candidate because they still see you as a little girl 20 years ago, and I'm not. So that is something as well, being able to do that. So it's so important to have a team. It's so important to be able to have that strong, bold voice. And I took the call, and I'm glad I did. And I'm ready to go to the finish line.
Well, thank you so much, Gabrielle, and I'm glad you brought that up. You laid it out from a person that may just be starting out, and I love the fact that how you unfold the fact that we have the different generations of women that are running, and being a part of the space, and how we can continue to encourage other women to be a part of voting and the empowerment behind the network. So thank you for that, Dee. Please make sure you share with us, if you don't mind, what made you decide to run for this particular office, and how important is it to have a network?
Thank you. And so I ran for this particular office because I knew that we needed to, first of all, make sure that everyone had a voice, because our voice matters. And if you cannot have a voice in the electoral system, in the process, then it really makes no sense for any of the candidates to run that are like running today, because if people can't have free and fair access to the ballot box, then they can't vote for the person of their choice.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to run. And I didn't just start this year. I ran before in 2018, and I was up against a huge force, and that's why community is important. And I think Commissioner Lorraine mentioned it earlier. We as a community have to come together, especially with statewide races, but not just statewide races, even local races, to support good candidates and to support people who will carry our mission and our message all the way to whatever seats of power that they are striving to attain. And so that's important. And it's also important to have a network of women and men behind you, a tribe. Your tribe is very important in positions like this. I know when I ran in 2018, one of the things that I mentioned on the trail, because I was the only woman at that time on the Democrat and Republican side, and I talked about how important it was in the Secretary of State's office to have a dedicated task force that dealt just with women issues. And I repeated it almost every forum I went to, so much so that when the current Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, came into office, he set up a She Leads initiative, and he does it all around the clock, because he understands the importance of women and their strength, not just in the electoral arena, but also business wise. So now it's important community wise. I know that the Black community in Georgia, we make up 32%. The African American population is 33%. The state of Georgia has over 1 million businesses, and Black people make up a large bulk of that too. We're the largest minority base to make up business. Yet still, with our $64 billion worth of buying power, we still do not have the same access to resources. And as the Secretary of State, I can redirect funds that are used for communication and training and education to things like Black businesses, to make sure they know how to scale up, or to people around professional licenses, or even when it relates to securities and exchange, like how to invest in the stock market and how to protect your interests. All of that's community minded, because in order for us to close the educational gaps, the wealth gaps, the health gaps, to get rid of all these disparities, we have to operate in community, but we have to go to those seats of power that govern.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to add and let our audience know that all three of these women are women that brunched in red. And so because I am the host of the infamous Red Dress Brunch, which is the networking in red event, and they've all been award recipients as well. They've all received either being some type of women's empowerment award because of the work that they've done in the community, and we recognize and appreciate them for how they have matriculated and support women issues, and they support women. And so because this platform is about women, we know that we have women that are connected to the National Women's Empowerment Ministry that care about the things that we care about. And so how important is professional development, ladies? And you can just kind of jump in and to let me know, how important is professional development to make you feel confident to do the work that you're doing and showing up in these spaces today?
I guess I'll go ahead and lead and let me say that, as a commissioner, it's not required technically that you have ongoing development, but I think development and ongoing development is important in any role. I don't care what the position. So I did, within the first year, became a certified commissioner. And since that time, I've also completed a certificate at Harvard in efficiency and quality controls as it relates to public sector operations. And one thing that I've found about ongoing education is it broadens your network. And it's very true that your network will determine your net worth. Here in DeKalb, as we have conversation on mass transit, There's a great divide on heavy rail, light rail. And I think the word BRT is very misleading, because when people hear bus rapid transit, I've heard people that sit amongst me say, uh, we deserve. And you're right. I've never told anyone, because I'm not a person who takes the back seat. I believe we all deserve what's best. But bus rapid transit is not a bus. It's really more, it should have been called tram transit, because it's a train, literally. And these trains move faster often than heavy or light rail. So, there's misconceptions, but it was during my time during the Harvard studies that I was in class with a gentleman from Singapore and realized how advanced their mass transit system was. Mm-hmm. And it got me excited because he was able to steer me, and I gained so much information. So whatever you do, I think anyone limits themselves and their capacity when they fail to think and expand their horizons through ongoing and continuing education, because there's always so many advancements in whatever field you may be in.
Well, thank you so much, Lorraine. And we're going to have to close our discussion on today. But before we close, I just want to ask one question. And here's the thing, because I know everyone has critical issues in their area of where they serve. And so what one critical issue, and I guess we could start, I'll just throw this one to you, Dee. What one critical issue is at stake in the primary and midterm election, and how important is it for women to show up and vote?
And so right now for this election, I'm going to have to say it's voting is key. For women, we have to be at these seats of power, and representation matters, because I have noticed that most of the time when Black people are elected to office, and in particular Black women, we come to the table representing everybody, all issues. We cover the gamut. We're not single issue people. When we come to the table, we understand the totality of the entire community, and we bring that type of leadership with us so that we can make lives better for everyone that we come across. So I would say right now, because they have passed so many voting laws in the state of Georgia to suppress our votes, that we must make sure that people have access to free and fair elections, so that women like us, or women like you, even in your capacity with your nonprofit, your ministry, and everything else, and your businesses, but that you will be able to scale up. And that's all through the Secretary of State's office. A lot of those decisions and resources should come from me. Well, so thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. You all, please make sure you follow all of these fantastic women on their social media platforms and support them any way that you can. We want to make sure that we as a community rally around women who are running for office and make sure that their voices can continue to be heard and advocate for our needs. Okay, and you've heard it right here with Empower Women Vote. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good rest of your evening. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.